Welcome everybody to This is Africa. This is Kenyon by Marriage, your host of This is Africa. And today's date, this is previously recorded on the 1st of May, which is a Sunday, 2022. I have with me Irina TL, a Ugandan YouTuber who is on a special project to help children in a particular school in a particular location. And without further ado, Irina TL, how are you doing today?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you for asking. Now, I brought you on today, and you're doing something very specific that is very important for a lot of children.
Oh,
And
yeah.
instead of this being an interview, I'm just going to have a regular discussion with you, but I want you to go ahead and just tell everybody exactly why you're here today, why I asked you to come, so that way you can present it to the world and we can get these children some help. And another thing too, people, there's no NGOs involved, no non-governmental organizations. So this is totally grassroots, what we're going to be presenting here today. So I want you to take that into account, especially for people who want to have more direct contact with the people involved in helping out in a project like this. So Irina, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much, KBM. Thank you so much for sharing your platform with me. My name is Surida Irina Riga, but most people know me as Irina TL. That is my YouTube channel name. So I do travel content. I always travel from one village to another. But on most cases, what I do when I travel into those villages, before I start shooting anything, I study the community. I first visit the schools. If it's not holiday time, I visit hospitals and get to mingle with the people and understand their general life before I actually start shooting videos. And I've always done that on all my trips. Every trip I've had in villages, I've done that. So this particular one, late Feb, I happened to make a trip to Eastern Uganda, that is in Karamoja region. Karamoja is bordering Uganda and Kenya. It is the last region in the northeast that is bordering Uganda and Kenya. I got a shock of my life. I always know not all people in my country are doing fine, like doing fine. But I also got to understand there are people who cannot even afford the basic needs. When we talk of basic needs, we mean food, shelter, clothing, basic education. I know all these wrong because I've mingled with the community for some time. But now, the biggest blow for me came when I visited the school. This particular school was 10 kilometers from Moroto town. The district in Karamoja is a region. So the district had in particular visited is called Moroto district. So the school I visited is called Nadunget Primary School, located 10 kilometers from the town. They had the structures, the buildings, they are okay. Now, to my surprise, because I always want to go around the classes, I see what I can do. Sometimes when I'm not doing so fine, I look at, who was the best performer, or I ask a question, whoever answers, I get to gift them. That is if I cannot afford to gift the whole class. Now, to my surprise, I asked the headmaster, can I take a school tour? Can you take me for a school tour, just around and seeing how the kids are and everything? We first went to P1.
Real quick, for a lot of Americans that might be watching this, please explain to them real quick, what is P1?
Oh, so the schools in Uganda, we have pre-primary, that is before you join primary, that is like the nursery. And then we have primary section, then secondary section. In the primary section, we have 7 classes. That is primary 1, primary 2, up to primary 7. So I first visited primary 1 class.
Okay, thank you.
The class alone had, according to the register, had 547 pupils. So what they had done, because they could, even after congesting them, they could not all fit in one room. They had to make another stream for them. 547 pupils. And of these, not even 100 of the class had school uniforms. That did not bother me so much, because even with just whatever clothes you put on, you can still study as long as you have the aids, whatever can aid you to study. What was a shock for me is I looked around the pupils, congested as they were, and a few. Sorry, someone was calling. I don't know how to block them. Just to continue.
Okay,
Let's say
ahead.
a stream had like a half of that. That is around 270 something, congested. I looked around as I was saying hello, and not even like 100 students have books. And when they have the books, for example, let me give you an example. Those who have books, some of them, someone has a book like this, but what the parent did, they cut it in two so that it is able maybe to take them for some time. In that, they're even using it sparingly. One was being asked, why are you not writing? The teacher was asking, I've been teaching, why are you not writing? And she's like, I do not want my book to get finished because I don't know where I will get another book. Imagine, you're missing out on the information that brought you to school because you don't want the book to get finished. And those were few who had the books. Others were just looking on. And I asked the teacher, what's happening? Where are their books? And it's like they cannot afford to have books. And some of those, the few who cannot even reach 100 who had books, some didn't have pencils to write. So they were just holding their books like this, because this is the safest way they hold their books, like this. Like, and these are not writing. They don't have pencils.
Let me ask you.
Yes, please.
You said they're not doing much writing, taking notes. Is that a notebook or is it?
You're so, I can't hear you very well.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, so the question I have for you real quick, you said the kids weren't taking any notes. Is that an empty notebook or is that like a educational book?
No, like this is an empty, where they're supposed to write, as you can see.
Okay, I got it. So basically it's a notebook that they need to complete their classes for the week, the month.
Oh yes, exercises, something like that.
Okay, great. All right, go ahead and continue. I was just curious about that book.
So a few, like the entire P1, like I told you, has 547 students. But on those P1 streams I visited, not even 100 pupils had books. I'm like, okay, did I come when the term is in the middle? That most of them could have finished their books. The headmaster is like, not really. They didn't start with books. So whoever doesn't have books, they didn't start with books. And some of them who started with books, they cut them in between, but they got finished and they can't have any more books. And he's like, maybe next time I should push parents harder so that they can buy these people's books. I'm like, by the time a parent sends their children to school, with that is what they can afford. Because I lived in these communities, families cannot even afford food. You get? So it's not a matter of forcing parents. I believe they're doing their best. So they need a hand. They are seated on the floor, congested in that some don't have where to write from. You have to get this book, put on your lap, and try to write.
So they don't have seats and desks to sit on?
They do not have seats in class. They just have to sit on the floor. No carpet is there, nothing. It is just cement They sit there and the learning continues. So the teacher keeps getting small space where she can pass, step here like carefully, because she was all surrounded by kids.
And so the kids are sitting on the floor even on the days when it's cold.
Of course,
Wow.
that is
Okay.
all we have. There are no boxes or maybe carpet or something, just the cement on the floor. They do not have desks.
Okay.
But the pupil that touched my heart most, that I could not even shoot the video of touring around the school, was the kid who said she actually had the book. But she said, I do not want to write in my book. It will get finished before that time. She's being considerate, but at the same time, she's missing out. But her aim is like, how can I finish this book before that term ends? Oh my God, it touched my heart. Not even what I saw in her was like, I really want to be in class. I really want to do the work. But then I do not want my book to get finished because probably she doesn't know when the parents will ever get money and buy for her a book again. And then I looked at all the miserable others who were just admiring others writing, and for them, they did not have pencils, they didn't have books. That is just P1 alone. Now I want you to pay attention to these statistics. When you go to P2, I told you P1 is 547, P2 is 170. You see that dropout rate. And the headmaster tells me it is always the same average of pupils coming into P1, but to P2, more than 50% drop off because they cannot afford. They do not have scholastic materials. So they feel like, what am I doing in school? Someone spends a whole year, because for us, a year has 3 academic terms. An academic year has 3 terms. Someone spends 3 terms. Each term has 3 months without writing anything. And so they cannot be promoted to P2. Most of them are told to repeat. And if they can't repeat, they just drop out. Hey, from P2 to P3, P3 has 80 pupils. That's again 50% dropping out. So the dropout rate was mainly in the lower classes. And if you are to look at their faces, oh my God, I can even see them right now. Like, by the time they come to school, spend the whole day at school, they really want to study. They want to learn. But now they do not have the materials they need to learn, however much they want. How I got to know this? You find pupils in class, they're just putting on t-shirts. Okay, wherever they are coming from, situation is not good. Things are not adding up at all. Someone's only putting on a t-shirt and there is no short inside. They're sitting on that floor, on that cold floor, and they're listening to the teacher, but they do not have where to write. That means they really want to learn, but they do not have what it takes to pursue whatever they want. I kept looking from P1 to P2 to P3 and P4. I stopped in P4 because I could not take it anymore. I didn't want these kids to look at me crying. They would feel, oh, why is she crying at us? So I really did not want them to see that part of me. I wanted this side of the one that would be the one to give them hope. So I just told the headmaster, I cannot continue with that tour. Let's stop here. But P3 has 80 pupils, half is gone. P4 has 32, another more than half. More than 50 pupils have dropped out of school. That means a class that starts with pupils of 400, around 500, by P4 on average, only 30 of those will reach primary 4. 30, not 30%, only 30 pupils will reach primary 4.
That's a huge dropout rate.
It's huge. That is, for example, on average, they have 500. That is more than 470 pupils have dropped out. And if you are a girl, all you're going to do is stay at home, take care of the family. If you get some small breasts on you, you're married off for cows. And boys will keep roaming. Oh my God, what I saw in that community. Small kids like this, roaming around. Some are not dressed, they don't have clothes. I'm like, why are you not in school? Like, they can't be in school. They cannot afford books. I'm like, what?
So the parents are struggling. They don't have the resources in order to do these things that they want to do.
They do not have the resources.
Right.
The mere fact that they're sending the pupils to school, they really want them to be there, but they do not have the resources. This region in Uganda, I think it is the most undeveloped region in Uganda. Even when we're growing up, they used to have this saying that we shall not wait for Karamajongs to develop. Or we shall not wait for Karamoja to develop. Like, it is the most, what can I say? It is not, I don't know.
How do you spell Karamoja?
Karamoja is Karamoja, Karamoja.
So anybody can, if they want to look at the region, they can look that up on Google Maps, everybody. So if you want to get more familiar with that, I recommend that you do, so that way you get a better idea of location-wise how far that is from Kampala. Go ahead, Irina. Go ahead and continue.
So, from what I saw from the community, some women were breaking stones to get some money. The small boys, the youth, teenagers, they are busy rotating around the village, doing nothing. So, just to give you a small hint about Karamojongs, they are mainly cattle keepers. So, they had been taught, you can sell one cow, take care of the family, take children to school and all that. But the community I visited, all their heads of cattle had been stolen away. I don't know if you've heard of what is called cattle wrestling. Cattle wrestling is whereby, is it wrestling or something? This English
basically now. the theft of someone else's cattle.
Yes, another community that also keeps cattle will come and steal the cattle of another community.
And tell some of the people how important one stock of cattle is to their income.
Very. Because one head of cattle can pay school fees in, for example, in such a school, a government school, for very many times. It can even pay from primary 1 to primary 7. If it's a secondary school, private, because a head of cattle could go for $300 or $400, that could pay for like 4 terms of 5. That is what they took from them. Because you could find a community that this school is in, they had thousands and thousands of cattle. And they were all stolen. At least I was there some days after that had happened. Everything had been taken. Nothing, not even one remained for the entire community. And the community had over, I cannot really estimate, there were very many families. So all families were left like just nothing to eat, nothing to survive on. That was the only thing they were surviving on.
So these cattle wrestlers, are they using guns? So are these people at gunpoint and having their cattle stolen that way?
Not only gunpoint. I wouldn't want to disclose much, but even lives are lost.
Right. I understand. That's same thing's going on in northern Kenya. So I'm very familiar with that situation, and everybody who really doesn't understand the situation that's listening in, this will cause dire consequence for the person who loses that head of cattle. And we're
Oh,
talking
yeah.
a lot in majority of the times we're talking people who are very extremely humble in the way that they carry out their lives. So therefore, if they only have one head of cattle and they lose that one head of cattle, it's like, what else are they going to do for money? And if that
And
cattle was the primary source to send their kids to school, well, they just
oh,
lost
yeah.
that source.
Because some of them would milk them, sell the milk instead of selling the cow. You milk it, sell the milk, in that you have a continuous supply that can help you on raising your children. And these people, they cannot farm. It is a semi-desert. So that means their main, like, only survival is the cattle, and it is taken away from them.
Right. So to continue on, could you please show us basically, what's behind you? Because some people probably, they see the books on top, but can you kind of explain like what it takes in order to get those books behind you? And the boxes
Okay.
are full of books, right?
So what I decided when I saw that the kids needed materials, I said, most cases, I've always done this charity work off camera alone. I realized the entire school needed help. And I, as an individual, could not. Actually, it's even the first time I'm coming out on my channel and I'm like, hey guys, give me a hand on this, because they really needed help. So I designed a poster. I posted it on my status. I posted it on my community. And from my little savings and some other people's donations, we managed to get, I calculated, and the entire school needed 400 dozens of books, but mainly for lower section. So far, people have been donating. Thank you so much for all those who have donated. Even my post today, I thank you so much for always supporting and always being there for us. So for lower classes, I've been buying for them 32 pages. And this is called Economy. This brand is called Economy. Why is it called Economy? This company doesn't only make books like this. It makes other better qualities, but this is called Economy because this is called newsprint paper. It is not the best quality. The best quality here would be a paper that is quite like this, in that a pencil can write very well on it. But because the pupils were many, if I was to buy the best quality, I would be overwhelmed. So I said, for lower section, let me start with 32 pages. I cannot give them the big 96 pages. First of all, these kids do not have bags. So with these pages, if you don't handle them very well, this is a big book, 96 pages, still Economy because it has the same quality of paper. If you don't handle it very well, the cover will go off. This cover will pluck off if it is a heavy book. I thought it wise to start with 32 pages. I thought I would get maybe on extra money after buying all the books and pencils and pens. I would buy a material, and I myself with my sister, because we have a sewing machine, would tailor some bags for the kids. But now that is not possible, for school is opening on 9th of May, and I've not yet even finished the scholastic materials. So I'm like, maybe the bags will come later. Let me first buy for them the 32-page books, and then maybe later I can handle the bags. If I get the donations, I can tailor the bags from home, homemade bags. They will not be the most luxurious one, but they will be enough and safe to carry the books, so that, when this cover goes off, the book is spoiled because the inner pages are very light. So when this one goes off, all this can keep flapping off, and the kids will keep losing their assignments, which I don't want. That's why I chose the 32 pages. So for lower section, so far we have 308 dozens. That can cover lower section, pre-primary, primary 1, primary 2, and primary 3. Now I'm remaining with 62 dozen, that is from primary 4 up to primary 7. And I calculated it in a way that each pupil gets 4 books. 4 books, that is for literacy 1, literacy 2, practice, and something else. So each pupil is meant to get 4 books. Those 4 books can take them through the whole term. I know some parents will want to cut into half as in a way of being economical with the books. I don't think I will have power over that, but if they choose that, I have nothing to do. I know some of them divide books. Just to let you know, this side in Uganda, people who have come from economically humble families cannot afford books. So what our parents would usually do, they buy a book like this, they cut it into 2 so that it is able to be shared between two children. So I saw most people that side do that. But that's why I felt it wise to give each pupil 4 books to avoid things of cutting in between. Because even this can spoil the book as it only leaves one point of contact for all papers. But I feel the book is safer this way. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm also collecting fairly used second-hand clothes, and I will be distributing them to schools and to communities of those very pupils.
Okay. So as me and you were talking before, we see the notepads is the primary thing that you're trying to get to the children. What are the other things you want to you want to add with the notepads that the children need? What are those items?
The pencils, which I've not yet got, the pens, and the sanitary pads. The school had a program where they wanted to teach the girls how to make the reusable sanitary pads. But for the beginning, for me, the materials that are needed, they are quite expensive. It would be a better idea because they could be reusable and sustainable. That means next time we do not need to buy pads again. But now that is very expensive for now. I felt it wise, maybe as I'm finding a solution, still gathering the funds, we could first give them the sanitary pads to take them through the term as we are planning a permanent solution, that is the reusable pads. Because what happens in Karamoja, when girls get into their periods, they drop out of school.
Yeah.
Because the parents be like, now you're ready for marriage. The mere fact that you're menstruating, you're ready for marriage, they are married off immediately, or they cannot go to school anymore because you cannot stay stained amidst everyone else, and the boys make fun. That's why most cases when I go to schools and I'm distributing those pads, even I was telling African Nyako, girls should not be separated from boys. Boys need to understand that women go through this. We need to support them through this. And this is what makes them able to be mothers in the near future. So that is a whole thing I'm trying to sensitize boys about. So I really wanted to get that temporary solution, give them pads for one term, as I'm saving up funds to be able to make with them the reusable pads that could be sustainable. Yeah.
So I want to add to that. I visited the Masai Mara in Kenya, and basically was being explained to me as far as the sanitary pads and how often the girls would miss school. Like basically, the school is all year round, right? Pretty much. So in America, it's usually about 10 months out of the year. So when it's all year round and the girls start to menstruate because they can't afford sanitary pads, they're missing. I mean, you can calculate this yourself. They're missing anywhere from 3 to 7 days per month. Now you add that up to 12 months, and how many days, especially if their parents are paying tuition for a government school, that's what they have to do. They're losing that money, and those girls are missing out on that education because they don't have the funds or the capability, because maybe they weren't shown on how to make reusable pads. So it's very important that the girls stay in school, but they're going to be able to need to have these things in order to stay in school. And this is the harsh reality of missing out. And the parents, the parents don't want their kids to miss school, but it's something that a lot of parents just simply can't afford. And this
And
is another avenue. Go ahead.
a pack of pads costs $1. Like I told you, some families cannot afford food. So they cannot spend a whole dollar that can feed a family for a day or two and buy for you sanitary pads. Okay, they cannot buy sanitary pads at the expense of starving. So what most cases those girls do, they'll go sit in the sand the whole day, because even if they stain their clothes, they don't have soap to wash the clothes. So or a few will just stay at home, stain their own clothes and hang them to dry. That is how bad it is. That is how bad it is. And me being a girl, I've gone through that. And then me, who has always had pads in school, still I used to feel uncomfortable, uneasy. I'm like, anytime I'm going to stain myself. Now I'm looking at these girls. They don't have it. At least I had it. They don't have it. How uneasy are they at school? Me, who had, was very tense, very uneasy, very uncomfortable. How much more do they go through that kind of intensity when they don't have? That's why I want to go ahead with that.
Yeah, and in the West, that would be hard for a lot of people to imagine. And this has really got to hit home, especially for the people who definitely want to help out with the school books and pencils and all that. This is another thing that you can help out with. Everybody, as far as like sending donations directly to Arena TL, this is her full name, first, middle, and surname. So for the people in the United States that doesn't understand what surname is, that's basically the last name. So what I'll do is I'll leave a link in the description box below that you can click onto if you'd like to send her money via Western Union online, or you can go to your local Western Union and send her money directly that way. But you can also do it through mobile money. Now in Africa, there's this thing called mobile money to where you can send the funds and they get it on their SIM card on their phone. So that way they can get it a little faster. Otherwise, if you don't feel comfortable about doing that on Western Union, I'll still show you how to do it online on Western Union, the regular way, as well as the mobile money way with her name in there. So that way the funds get to her. She can buy these books. She can buy these pencils, pens, and whatever else. But the main drive right now is to get the books in the kids' hands and all the other things that they need with that. And please tell us, me and you were discussing before we started this, what else in the future would you like to do for this school ongoing after these basic needs are met?
Okay, after these basic school needs are met, it is quite, learning can take place in a comfortable environment, comfortable posture. So I feel I would also embark on collecting funds for the desks in the classes, the benches. You call them desks, you call them benches.
Well, the bench would just be what you sit on for more than one person, and then the desk can either be a singular desk or it can be a table where multiple people can use it.
So for us, we have this. There is a way they make it. I don't know if you've seen it on African Yako's channel. Most of the schools we've gone to have that. So they make a small table and then which is attached to also a bench. So we call them desks. And that desk, each desk can take, for them small, it can take like 3 to 4 or 4 to 5, depending on the size. Now for big, like those ones in P6 and P7, it can only take 3 of them.
Okay, so that as well. And then also we're talking about the tuition. What is the tuition for a child to go to school at that school?
It is $3, but I checked, almost 92% had not paid, even for the previous term.
Okay,
so it's just $3, but they cannot afford it.
So you hear that, everybody? A lot of these kids are also dropping out of school because their parents can't afford what would be considered to a lot of people in other places very inexpensive, the tuition. And so it's not just sanitary pads or school supplies or uniforms. Irina also told me a very small percentage of the kids at this government school has uniforms. It is the tuition. And if you don't pay the tuition at these government provided schools, at least in Kenya, before it became public in a certain time, you couldn't go to school. And I'm not
Yeah, they
sure.
get a day and they chase them home.
Right. If you don't pay a few dollars, then they're not even going to be able to attend the school. So there's a lot of issues going on, and but basically what we want to start out with is what she's presented so far. But if you're also looking to help with a child or more than one child just with their tuition alone, that would be greatly helped. You can be a direct in-person contact with Arena TL here. You don't have to go
Yeah.
through anybody else. You don't have to go through a non-governmental organization where when you send funds to a project that they have, in a lot of cases, depending on how they're spending their money, only 6% of that money actually goes to the kids or whatever project, because the other 94% goes
Is in
to expensive
administration.
headquarter buildings, uh, functions, dinners, fundraising, stuff like that. All that's going to be bypassed and it's going to go straight to the children. And as far as anybody wanting to send anything of their own, there is a company in Kampala, Uganda called UG Unlocked. We're talking about tangible items. Maybe you want to send uh, bags and stuff like that, or maybe shoes to kids or stuff, stuff like that. UG Unlocked has a headquarters in Sacramento, California. And if you go to ugunlocked.com, you can contact them, and they send out parcels once a week back to Uganda. It is the least expensive way to send any items there. And then Arena TL here will go to the office in Kampala to pick it up and then get it transported to that school. Anything else you want to add about UG Unlocked?
UG Unlocked, they are legit, and because I've received my package before, like I was gifted by my host, I was gifted a pack of things, the phone, the tripod, like all the work you've seen me create this year and last year. I've been using those phones, tripod, and all that. I got all my gifts on time. They just called me, hey, we have your packages, come and pick them. So in case you want to send tangible things, bags, shoes, clothes, you can always pack them via UG Unlocked. You check in the description box. Their contacts are there. Then you can send those packs. Be you sure that whatever you send is going to reach the person it is intended to reach. If you need a video of it, because like there are many things that happen when we meet kids. Not everything can be on camera, but if specifically you need a video, we can always take it for you to show you the progress, and be sure that all the funds you're sending are going to reach these people. Because first and foremost, I have grown up from a poor family. I know what it means to be just back from school to home. You don't have books, go back home. You've not paid school fees, you've not paid tuition, go back home. So sometimes I would hide in the latrines, school latrines for hours, wait for the situation to calm down, then I sneak back into the class. So I know what it means. I started doing that from a young age. From P1, they would chase me, primary one, go back home. I don't go. I hide in a school latrine. I hide in a school bathroom. I keep rotating around until the situation comes down. I sneak back into the class. So I know what it means. I know what these pupils go through. There are times I went to school and I didn't have books. And good enough, in a class you are mixed, some are rich, some are not. So someone gifts you a book and you're going to put all 4 subjects in one book. But now this class I'm talking about, there is no rich, there is no poor. They are all almost the same. They need to be helped. So no one will help the other. I truly assure you that the funds will reach these pupils. And evidence will be there, because I even need the school to give me a delivery note this Erina Tusubira has delivered this much to the pupils, signed by the school, and then I do not just give them to the school. I need to leave the school when I've distributed everything to the pupils. So just be sure that the funds will be well managed and well used for the benefit of those they intend to benefit.
Okay, great, great. Well, Irina, thank you very much. I think we're going to go ahead and close this up here. Again, her information, that's her name, that's on her ID. So when you send money via Western Union, especially if she has to pick it up because you don't want to send it mobile money, or maybe you don't have the ability to send it mobile money, you have to put her name down just like it is on the screen, because over there in other countries, Western Union requires first, middle, and last name. So it's very important. A lot of people in the UK already know about this. So it's Americans that usually don't have a lot of experience when it comes to this type of information. And again, Irina TL, thank you very much. Everybody, go check her out. Irina TL, right there, as you see on the screen, is the name of her YouTube channel. I've known her since, I think, 2019, 2020, somewhere around there. And we've worked together on different collabs, and she's a wonderful person. She knows friends of mine, other YouTubers in Kenya, and I'm KBM, Kenyan by marriage, so I could vouch for her as being a very honest person. I'm from the United States originally. I do African content, and this is one of the best people that I've ran into via YouTube, and I really appreciate everything that she's done in Uganda and for people around the world to see. Any last words?
I just want to thank you, like, for always supporting, because most cases, even when I'm stuck, I'm like, okay, how can I do this? And then you always come through for me. So like this one, I did not even need to ask you. You just like, okay, what can we do? How best can we help? And you know, when you're doing such things, sometimes beyond money, you need a platform, because most people do not know what is happening in other parts of the world, and you cannot blame them, surely. So you need a platform to share, and so that you're heard. And that's exactly what you've done for me. Like, I cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much for always supporting, and only God, the good rewarder, can reward you for me. Like, for all you've done, I appreciate. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and I appreciate you. And again, congratulations to your recent marriage. You and your husband are a great team. And you're welcome. Without further ado, everybody, we're going to go ahead and close this out right here. Please check out the description box below. It's going to have everything that you need to get in contact with her, as well as be able to send her money via Western Union, because I take it you don't have a PayPal account because PayPal doesn't work in Uganda. Is that correct?
Doesn't work Uganda.
Okay, yeah, PayPal doesn't work in every country. It works in Kenya. It doesn't work in Uganda. So again, without further ado, that's it. This is KBM. Thank you for watching. This is Africa, and we're out.